Okay, so I was talking for a few minutes and realized I was not recording. I made the whole video and then I realized I was not recording. Son of a bitch. Anyway, I'll say everything again. So, to continue on the topic that I was talking about in the previous video, so what we as INTPs, or maybe just the TI function, I don't really know, but let's just use us as INTPs as an example because I know that it applies to us at least. What our core strength is if we have a problem in our mind, a problem I'm talking about like finding a problem like a puzzle, you know? You got a question and you have to find an answer to it. Our core strength is that we find an answer to any question in our mind. It doesn't matter what the question is, we find an answer to it, period. All right? But sometimes if our problem that we're trying to find an answer to is not a real world problem, then the solution that we find does not accurately represent reality. I mean that the solution that we find is not practical. It's basically a useless conclusion, a useless theory. You can't make any change in the real world based on the solution, so what the hell is the point? All right, if you take the knowledge for the sake of knowledge aside, then the theory is useless, is completely useless, right? Now, the whole thing I wanted to say, I can't believe I have to say the whole thing again, but that's fine. That's fine. I'll say it again for you guys, and for me also. I like to make the videos. I hope my voice is clear, I can't tell. Anyway, so what we have to do to weaponize our core strength and point it in the right direction to make the biggest change in our external reality, our objective world, is we have to align the data in our minds that we use to find answers to questions to reality, to be as close of a representation to objective reality as possible. The farther it is away from objective reality, the farther our solution is from what we can actually use in the real world. So again, the strategy, the model that I used in the non-recording version of this video that I will do again right now is the following. So you have a real world problem, and let's say you observe the problem with your eyes, with your senses. Okay, you observe it. There's an actual problem in the physical reality around you, and the target is to find a solution to that problem, a solution that you can apply that actually solves the problem in the real world around you. So in order for us to weaponize and use our core strength of finding any answer to any question, is we have to basically take a snapshot or like copy the problem in the real world and print it in our minds, and then we have access to all the knowledge and all the data that is relevant to the problem in the real world. So the problem in our minds is the same as the problem in the real world, exactly identical. Okay, that's the theory, that it has to be perfectly identical. Okay, if we have the information in our minds that is perfectly identical to the problem in the real world, then the solution that we find in our minds can be trusted as the identical solution to the real world problem, because the problems are identical, so the solutions are also identical. Okay, I hope this makes sense. I didn't say it so concisely, but I hope it makes sense to you guys. So if the information in our minds is the same as the information in the real world, then the solutions are also identical. But if we don't take everything into account, if we forget one factor, one variable here or there, then the solution in our minds is not 100% identical as the solution to the real world problem, because the information that we took into account is not 100% the same. So the problem, I mean, the mistake that we often make is because of our very strong need to find answers to questions, and questions are everywhere. Uh, we jump quickly to find answers one after the other. But the information that we have regarding the real world problem that we observed is not the same as the actual information in the real world. It is incomplete, imperfect data. And so the solutions that we jump to find so instantaneously is not really applicable. It's not really the solution to the to the to the real world problem. So it's kind of like a gun, as I said before, that you just want to fire the gun anywhere, but you're not going to make any impact with it because you're not going to kill anybody, because you're aiming everywhere else instead of where people actually are. And so this strong need to find answer, it's like a force. It's like a very, very powerful force. And so what we have to do is to weaponize that force, to make use of it. We have to wait before we shoot until we make sure that the direction we're shooting is the right direction. The video I made was so much better than this. I hate this, but I didn't record, so I'm sorry. This is as good as I can make here. Fuck, this is not as good as I made it in the past. I have to settle with this quality. At least it's recording, right? Anyway, so the whole strategy here, again, I'll say it more concisely this time, is you got a problem in the real world, and you got a solution to that problem in the real world that we're trying to find. We're trying to find the solution to the problem in the real world. How do we do that? We basically copy the data of the problem in the real world, and we can use that data in our mind. And if we can use that data in our minds, then we can find a solution to the problem of the data in our minds. And because the information in our minds is identical to the information in the real world, then our solution in our minds is identical to the solution in the real world, and we can just apply it. And boom, the problem in the real world is solved. But the mistake that we make is our information is not an accurate representation of objective reality. So what you guys and me also have to do is we have to not jump to satisfy our need to find an answer until we make sure that the information that we have regarding the problem that we're trying to solve, or the question we're trying to find an answer to, accurately represents reality, as accurately and as closely and as perfectly as possible. Now there's an optimization problem here, so you don't want to get trapped finding all the information on one tiny problem in your life. It's kind of like the 80-20 rule. You want to find as much information as possible in as little time as possible, such that you don't spend your entire life on figuring out how to optimize the opening of a bottle cap, something so useless and irrelevant like that, you know? So like yeah, I guess that's basically it. You can stop watching the video here, because the rest of the video is going to be me relaxing or recompiling the information again. So the video ends here. The rest is not as critical and as important as what I've said so far. I just hate that I made the video and it was so great, but I did not record. Now I'm recording. I can see the counter up here. I'm sure I record now, for sure this time. I just hope the audio is clear, because I'm just not sure. I can't tell. I never watched my videos, so I don't know. If there's a problem with the audio, you guys will tell me and I will know. If you guys let me know. And so I trust you guys will tell me if there's a problem with the audio. While I make those videos, my focus during the video is on the content, is on what I'm saying, how I'm saying it, and how I'm delivering the information to you, and that I am in the shots, at least good enough in the shot, at least, you know, not too horribly in the shot. That's all I'm concerned with in the video. Of course, some other factors like the lighting is not too bad, and I'm here outside, so the lighting is pretty good outside. The background isn't too bad. This background is the best background I get. Sometimes the background in my house isn't too good. This is much nicer. The colors are nice, the black, the green, the color of the flowers here are nice. And the audio I think is more clear in here, but I can't really tell. It's different kind of audio. It's more open space, so it's different audio. Anyway, so to those of you who commented on the fact that my videos are all over the place and not very focused and compiled nicely, that's because it's the most organic way to give you the information. It's the most natural way to communicate, and I think that if you guys have the patience to watch the video fully, and if I do a good enough job, and they're both not easy things to do for both of us, but if we do a good enough job for that, then the content is better than any other kind of content, I think. Because this information, it's not like it's a review. This is very organic, like it's very personal, it's very human knowledge. It's not about technology, it's not a show, it's not a script, it's not comedy. It is pure knowledge, but it is objectified and compiled nicely and hopefully communicated concisely. I tried my best to do a good job of that. I'm not good at communication. My communication system, the part of my body that does communication is not so good. I'm trying to train it, and the videos are one of the ways in my life that I practice communicating or practice speaking in a lot of ways. And yeah, the struggle that is not easy to overcome regarding the topic of this video is to wait before you come up with an answer. I understand the strong need to come up with an answer that satisfies the problem in your mind, but if you want your answer to be not useless, you have to be patient enough and wait until you have enough data in your mind that accurately represents objective reality. That is not easy, but the result of that is that your answer is powerful. It shakes reality, and if you execute the solution to the and if you execute the solution to the real world problem in a good way, the impact is enormous. The impact is, you cannot ignore it, and no one around you can ignore it as well. Especially if the problem is a big problem, like it just shakes the world. Like it makes a huge difference, and it is so rewarding. It's so rewarding, and the feedback that you get from other people is also very rewarding. It makes the wait worth it. It really does. And so I recommend you guys, you all do that. It makes you feel like what you're doing and what you're thinking, what you're saying is actually making the world a slightly better place. It's actually making a difference. It's having an impact on other people, not just your internal cognition. So yeah.